Here at Phillips Arena in Atlanta, Game 2 tonight of the Eastern Conference Finals. Cavs and Hawks, two teams banged up heading into Game 2. For the Cavs, they've got to figure out what's going to happen at point guard. Kyrie Irving did not participate in shoot-around. Instead, he got further evaluation on his left knee. What is the latest here with Kyrie, Chris?
Well, I remember back when we were in Chicago when I was trying to get some more details about. Well, first of all, the Cavs didn't disclose that there was ever a knee problem with Kyrie. So, I did some further evaluation of my own and looked into the matter and seen, I spoke with Kyrie, said he had known something, but not anything serious that he knew about. The Cavs act like they didn't know anything. So now we're here weeks later, and now this is a serious issue that can potentially keep him out of Game 2. He's going to have an MRI, or if he hasn't had that already. And I think everyone is anticipating that the results will come back negative.
Okay.
But I think they're under the understanding or the belief that it's a pain tolerance issue. Let me turn my phone off real quick in just a moment. It's a pain tolerance issue.
That may have been mine, actually.
Do yours? That was me. And so we'll see what happens. Kyrie, one thing we know about Kyrie, he wants to be close to 100% as possible. Right. It's really frustrating. You guys seen how he looked after Game 1, how frustrated and just undespondent he was, and he can't do what he can't do what God has gave him the ability to do.
Yep.
And that's just tearing him up right now.
All right, so we had a chance to go into the locker room, and we heard from LeBron, and we heard from David Blatt, and we got a chance to talk to Matthew Dellavedova, who could possibly start tonight in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and Tristan Thompson. I want to see if you had the same impression that I got, Joe, after listening to everybody talk. I got the impression that they're preparing for Game 2 as if they're not going to have Kyrie.
Sure, and I don't expect him to play at all tonight for a couple of reasons. One, they got Game 1. That's all they needed. You've got home court now. Regardless of what happens tonight, you can come back in Game 3 and Game 4 on your court and presumably a little bit healthier Kyrie if he doesn't play tonight. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing is he has become a defensive liability.
Yes.
They could hide him in Chicago. The Bulls, for whatever reason, just could not take enough advantage of Kyrie's inability to play defense with this injury. But the Hawks are doing it. Jeff Teague went right at him, and they play 2 point guards, and that makes it difficult. So, yeah, I don't expect Kyrie to play, and it really did kind of sound like they were preparing to move on with that one.
Not the birthday present that head coach David Blatt wanted. He did not reveal who his starter would be. He was asked the question, does this mean Matthew Dellavedova would start for Kyrie? He said, possibly. What else could they potentially do if it's not increasing the minutes for Delly, Chris? Is there somebody else that could see an increase in minutes? Would they use a lineup that they really haven't used all that much? Could they put LeBron at the point guard? What's the option here?
I think Dellavedova is the guy. This is a guy who Blatt loves. He definitely likes how he plays, the grit he plays with. And any other time Kyrie was out, Dellavedova stepped into that starting spot.
13 starts so far this year.
If he wants to go outside of the norm, you can have LeBron run the point.
Okay.
Or you even can have Shump, who played it in college, run some point. I don't think that's something you want to do right now.
Yeah, probably not.
At this stage.
Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
So, all best point to Delly.
So LeBron, in these situations, he has taken on more of a ball handler's role. But let's talk about this. Kent Bazemore is probably going to start tonight, and he is a lot smaller than LeBron. It's noticeable.
Right.
And LeBron was so good against Damari Carroll in the post in Game 1. Bazemore gives up 3 inches and 50-plus pounds. Do you want to take that out of the post and pull it back up to the top of the key? So it'll be interesting to see how both coaches handle this.
Okay, so you mentioned Bazemore. Are all indications then in your conversations with some of the Hawks players, Joe, and head coach Mike Budenholzer, our indications are Damari Carroll not going to play Game 2? It was hopeful yesterday.
Yeah, Coach Bud is still using the word hopeful. But then in the same breath, he's talking about making decisions that are best for Damari's short-term, long-term, his health and his career.
Okay.
That's the first thing. The second thing is he's walking around today with no crutches, but with a noticeable limp. He was healthy for all but 5 minutes of game one, and LeBron scored 31 and grabbed 8 rebounds.
Sure.
I don't know how you could possibly try to guard LeBron on a bad knee. I just don't see it. And I don't see how you could play limping that way. And then thirdly, Bazemore told me he expects to start. So there's that.
Bazemore, for those that don't know, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in college. However, playing against LeBron James is a little different animal. All right, so Game 2 tonight, Eastern Conference Finals. Give me the matchup, then, that you're going to be watching. I know in Game 1, you were really focused on that Tristan Thompson-Paul Millsap matchup. Tristan Thompson won that one going away. So is that the same matchup for you tonight?
You have to stick with it. You got to stick within the trenches. And the trenches right now is about Paul Millsap, Tristan Thompson, get it down in the paint. I'm sticking with that.
How about you?
Yeah, no, I agree with Chris. I mean, that's where they need to go.
I'm curious how Matthew Dellavedova or Iman Shumpert or whatever David Blatt's going to do. I'm curious how that person is going to match up against Jeff Teague. Because at the beginning of the game, Jeff Teague was driving that entire offense. And in the first half, guys, it was 51-51. In the second half, Atlanta really abandoned who they are. They went outside of what got them to 60 wins and the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. And a big part of that, I felt, was different looks on Jeff Teague and trying to push the pace way, way, way more and getting caught up into trying outscore the Cavs. So whoever it is on Jeff Teague, I don't know if it's going to be Delly, I don't know if it's going to be Iman Shumpert, J.R. Smith. They're going to have their hands full because that was a matchup that in the first half I felt like Atlanta exploited because they saw Kyrie on Teague.
Also, Coach Bud took Jeff Teague out questionable junctures of the game when they needed some scoring out there. LeBron talked about before the series started, Teague, they go as Teague goes. How he plays. He runs that ship. He's probably, I guess you could say he's the best player out of their starting group. By a small margin, but he is. And he's the point guard. It's a leadership role. It's the point guard that gets everybody, gets the offense initiated. They have to do a better job with containing him. I don't think Dellavedova was that guy. Shump is probably the best that they can, possible. Yeah, I would say he's the best guy that they could probably put on Teague to try to slow him down. But then again, Shump can't play 38 minutes a game.
Right, but the other thing is that would put them in a pickle because Shump was the guy that was chasing Kyle Korver all around in Atlanta.
That's what I'm saying. He's probably the best guy, but like you said, Korver, and I don't think there's anybody on this roster who will have the discipline to stick with Korver. It's one thing about denying Korver the ball, or if you're one pass away, trying to prevent him from getting open look. But when Korver is 2, 3, 4 passes away, that's when defensive players who aren't disciplined, they go into those mental lulls, mental lapse. Next thing you know, Korver's back baseline, he gets hit with a flare screen or a back screen. You have to be focused. Sean Marion did a good job throughout the season. He can do that. So we'll see how Blatt plays that.
And you have to focus on Kyle Korver and the three-point shot because Atlanta, 4 of 23 in Game 1 from three-point range, averaging 9.5 makes so far in the postseason. And Atlanta, when Kyle Korver gets into double figures, 5 and 2. Joe, are we going to see the Cavs go up 2-0 in this series, or are we going to have it all square going back to Cleveland?
Nah, I see it 2-0 Cavs. And it's just amazing. I know we were talking a little bit about this this morning, but just how the Cavs seem to evolve in the right way every time they get one of these serious injuries, or potentially serious injuries. And then the other thing on my mind is just I think back to January when LeBron was out, but they had the rest of their guys and they couldn't win games, and now they lose guy after guy, but LeBron's here, and they just win. Like, you don't feel any worse about this game than you did before Game 1. At least I don't.
Okay, Chris?
I think we go back split.
Really?
Yeah, I think the Hawks really desperately need this game with or without DeMar Carroll. So that's what I'm going with.
My question tonight, I think the Cavs are probably going to be better defensively because Kyrie, as Joe said, he was a liability. Jeff Teague was blowing past him. Dennis Schroeder was blowing past him. And they just couldn't hide Kyrie on anybody. You can't put him on Kyle Korver. Then Kyle Korver's going to get off. You couldn't have put him in Game 1 against DeMar Carroll. He's too big and he's too physical. So taking Kyrie out of the equation From a defensive standpoint, I think the Cavs can hold Atlanta in the 80s, maybe low 90s. My question is, will they have enough offense? J.R. Smith had 28 in Game 1. That was 8 threes. Can we really expect that? Is Iman Shumpert going to step up? Who's going to be that third guy to step up and take pressure off of LeBron? That's a big question that I have going into tonight. And honestly, guys, I mean, I don't think I see an answer against a talented defensive team in Atlanta. So I think it's going to be split. I think Atlanta wins a very, very close and low-scoring game because of the injury to Kyrie not giving them enough offense. So we will see. Cavs have completed shoot-around. The Hawks have completed shoot-around, and we're hours away from Game 2 tipping off here in Atlanta. For Chris Haynes, Joe Vardon, I'm Chris Fedor. Continue to check out our stuff, cleveland.com/Cavs, and we will talk to you tonight. Later.